So we're going to talk about eating and healthy eating. And one of the issues that MS patients have sometimes is, what kind of food should I be eating? Should I be on a special diet? Is there a special diet for people who have MS? And so whatever you hear on social media and out there as what some people call the world, there is no best diet for MS. Scientists, nutritionists, and dietitians have not all come to an agreement that there is any special diet for MS. But what we want is for you as MS patients to maintain a healthy body weight so that you can be less vulnerable or at risk for disability and progression of your disease. So therefore, what you eat, your nutritional status will play an important role in managing your MS, as well as any other health issues you have, like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Well, one of my GI friends tells me is that while neurologists think everything is in the brain, they think everything is in the GI tract. So what we put in our mouths and then eliminate out the other way is very important and has a major impact on the immune system. Next slide. So if we're trying to have a goal, what is it that we want to do and why? Eating adequate, well-balanced meals will support your body's needs and help you to have physical and mental wellness. It'll also lower your risk of developing heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. And if you are young and in childbearing age, it will help you to have a healthier pregnancy and prevent some of the morbidity and mortality that Black women face when they get pregnant. So if you eat a diet that's rich in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, it will help your body fight everyday viruses and bacteria that cause disease, illness, and worsening of your MS. Next slide. So this is an example of what they call the healthy eating plate. And it's a smaller plate than we're accustomed to seeing, but it's larger than a salad plate. And you can see there are equal portions of whole grains and healthy protein. Whole grains are like whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta, and brown white rice. They tell us to not eat white bread, white rice, white potatoes. Then below that is healthy protein. That's mainly going to be in our meats, where we choose fish, chicken, beans, and nuts, and they are asking us to limit red meat and cheese. And here's the big one: avoid bacon, cold cuts, and other processed meats. Moving to the red, that's fruits, and then green are vegetables. We'll get into those, but just know that the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the better. And potatoes and French fries are not vegetables. Ooh, I just walked on somebody's street, didn't I? Here are 2 additional points. They want us to use healthy oils like olive oil, canola oil to fry in. Use them in limited amounts on our salads. Limit the butter. When it comes to drinking fluids, MS patients do not drink enough fluids, including water. So here's a trick that my GI friend taught me. Take your weight and divide it by 2. And that's the number of ounces that you are to drink fluids, including water. So if you're 150 pounds, divide that by 2, and that's 70 ounces of fluids a day. So that's probably more than most people drink normally. Next slide, please. So these are a lot of the barriers to healthy eating, and we are trying to address these at the National African American MS Registry. But look at it like this: if you have not achieved a college level education, you're not going to make as much money. Not making as much money then limits what you get to spend. what access to healthcare you have. So all of these are interrelated. They're not separate squares as we see it, but interrelated and could be connected by circles and arrows. So breaking down these barriers will help us to figure out how we can eat healthy and have less food insecurity. Next slide. So how do we get started on trying to eat healthy? Well, you ever been told by someone older than you, don't eat the whole horse at the same time? You want to start small and work your way up. So start with small changes and set realistic goals that are sustainable. Everybody can, for a couple of weeks, go without eating a certain thing, but what can you do 30 days from now? Figure out the kind of foods that help you feel your best. And we're not recommending that you deprive yourself of many of the foods that help us to enjoy eating around family. So it's not those foods you want to avoid on those holidays through the year, but it's what you're going to eat on a regular daily basis. I bet I want to challenge when we get to the end of the program, anybody born after 1970 who has had breakfast at the breakfast table and dinner at the dinner table. So if you got those experiences, we want to hear about it. Whatever you do, we want you to do in moderation, eating only the foods that will satisfy your body and not try to feel stuffed. Don't worry about counting calories. Think in terms of the colors and types of food that you're going to get on your plate, and replace processed food. That's the fast food with real food whenever it's possible. Next slide. So how do you do it? When you come to snacks, try fruits and vegetables and not candy, cake, and other sweets. Learn how to read nutrition labels when you go to the grocery store, and you will take note of how much fat, how much sugar, and how much salt that you've been consuming on some of these foods. When you're still hungry, add more leafy greens or fruit. Now, if your bedtime is 12 o'clock, don't try to eat dinner at 11. Eat dinner early. And we now have good scientific evidence that intermittent fasting can help us when we're trying to lose weight. That means putting 14 to 16 hours before you have breakfast. If you switch from fried to grilled and baked, you will make healthy choices. And if you're really obsessive about it, keep a food and beverage diary, and that'll give you the real deal truth about how much you are eating and drinking on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So there's a lot in the press and social media about inflammatory foods. And so this is a list of foods to avoid. And I want to preface it by saying this is all the good stuff. Sugar-sweetened beverages, that includes sodas, processed meats, sausage, bacon, hot dogs, foods we find at Subway and Firehouse Subs, white pasta, French fries, fried foods, candy, and alcohol. These are some of the foods consumed regularly will get you into trouble. Next slide. So here's a list of healthy fruits to eat every day, and I happen to love all of these. They include the berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, apples, mangoes, bananas, avocados, prunes, and one of my favorites, watermelon. If you and your children eat these fruits every day, you're going to find a big difference in your energy level, your ability, your cognition, how you're able to think more clearly, and you'll really enjoy the difference. Next slide. This is a list of high protein vegetables that have a high protein content. And many African Americans eat these, but we eat these in a different kind of way. My favorite is collard greens. We ought to add spinach and asparagus. We like sweet potatoes, but we prefer them to be candied yams. Why don't we just go with the sweet potato? Let's throw in some broccoli and mushrooms. And if you try Brussels sprouts that are baked or roasted with the seasoning that we like, you can add that as a new vegetable. And don't forget the squash. And if you're going to eat potatoes, try the russet potatoes that have the red skin on them. Next slide. Healthy superfoods to eat every day. We've talked about berries of all kinds, fresh or frozen, eggs, pomegranate, fresh or juiced. We talked about spinach and nut butter, something new we ought to try. Oatmeal, avocado is good on anything. Cooking in olive oil, and eating salmon, and spreading chia seeds over your foods. Next slide. Which is it. So if we start small, add a few of these foods we've talked about today, limit our portion sizes, then we'll be on our way to nourishing our bodies and feeding our souls.